Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi took a trip to Taiwan with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, which of course sparked some controversy.
Representative Krishnamoorthi joins us now live to talk about that. But first, we want to get your reaction to the statement just made by Attorney General Merrick Garland about that search at Mar-a-Lago. Your thoughts?
Well, as you know, it was an unprecedented search, and so I think it was appropriate for Attorney General Garland to make a statement about this, and I think I'm hopeful that the president agrees to basically publicize the contents of the search warrant so that we can kind of reduce the rampant speculation about the contents of that warrant.
Congressman, the White House said that it was not told about the raid ahead of time. Is that a reasonable thing to believe, given that the right feels so strongly otherwise about it?
I think so, only because the FBI and the DOJ have been in the news a lot over the last few years, especially during the Trump administration and then towards the end of the Obama administration. The idea being that, decisions were politicized. And I think that in this particular instance, I think that Merrick Garland probably did not want to be accused of the White House somehow involving itself in any decision-making on this search warrant. So I tend to believe it. All that being said, I do think that Merrick Garland, the DOJ, and the FBI, as well as Donald Trump, need to answer some questions about what exactly was the purpose of the search and what was actually on the inventory of what was collected.
And as you're asking those questions, a lot of others have been jumping to conclusions about it. Do you have any concern about the potential for violence in the aftermath of all of this?
I do, and I think that the rhetoric that we're seeing with regard to violence against federal agents, the FBI or the DOJ or Merrick Garland himself, and then followed up by the incident that happened in, I believe it was Cincinnati, at the field office of the FBI, where a man clad in body armor basically engaged in a shootout with security guards at the FBI office. Only leads me to believe that we need to lower the temperature. We need to get rid of the speculation. We need to know exactly, what is at the heart of this investigation.
Representative Krishnamoorthi, let's switch gears now to your trip to Taiwan. Hindsight, of course, is always 20/20, but given China's reaction, was it worth it?
Oh, absolutely. There were two reasons we went. One is, especially in light of what we saw in Ukraine, we have to prevent what happened in Ukraine from happening with Taiwan. And that means we have to stand with our partners, allies, and friends in the region to resist aggression by the Chinese Communist Party. And then the second reason we went was we want to expand economic ties in the region, especially in light of the passage of the CHIPS Act, which encourages more manufacturing of semiconductor chips here in the United States. All the countries in that region are excited about this because they want to move manufacturing of these chips, especially from places like the People's Republic of China to the United States. And indeed, Taiwan committed to $20 billion of investments in the United States to manufacture high-end semiconductor chips here. I'm very excited about that opportunity.
So it sounds like you are thinking that the fruit of that trip was worth the political risk. But having said that, did the intensiveness of those Chinese military drills surprise you afterward?
No, they've done this in the past. They did it obviously after our trip. I hope they don't do it in the future, but it's reckless. There are two observations I have about this. One, if the cost of avoiding these provocative measures by the Chinese Communist Party is to cede control of Taiwan or cede control of our travel schedules to the Chinese Communist Party, that is a price we are not going to pay. And then secondly, these exercises were done basically to deflect attention from the intense economic pressure that Xi Jinping is facing internally because of his botched response to COVID. And he's now seeking a third term in the upcoming party Congress of the Chinese Communist Party. And so he used our visit as a pretext for all these exercises to shift attention to a subject other than what's happening at home. He would have done it had another delegation gone, but he chose to do it when we went. And that's why, as I said before, we have to stand strong in the face of that type of aggression.
It seems like there were a lot of people who were critical of the trip, but you're saying that it sounds like the administration's goals were achieved. Is this something that was sanctioned by the president?
No, this was something that we did, basically as a congressional delegation. I should just point out that 25 Republican senators actually wrote a letter, I think it was led by Mitch McConnell, basically supporting our visit, because there's tremendous bipartisan sentiment, both in the House and the Senate, for supporting our friends in Taiwan. It's not only the morally and ethically right thing to do, but it's legally obligated of us under the Taiwan Relations Act, which calls for us to support the defense of Taiwan's democracy.
Congressman, I wish we had more time. We had a lot more to talk about, but we're going to leave it there and hope you'll join us again. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.